You said that for the petroleum site that was in site 12, where it was commingling with, well, it was pulling arsenic out of the soil and it was flowing towards the bay, you said you're only monitoring. You're not planning on...
Currently we're monitoring, but we are planning on integrating that into perhaps a time-critical removal action.
Okay. So
Part of it, correct.
So you will be cleaning up that petroleum?
Yes, it will. We'll talk about that in 2015 in the next presentation.
Correct.
Yeah, we are addressing it. A good point of clarification. We're currently monitoring that, continue to gather data, and then next presentation will tell you how we think we're going to move forward.
Can I ask another question? May I ask a question?
Yes.
About something that Mr. Clark just said?
We'll do quick questions and then we'll actually wait till the end, but yeah, one quick question.
Okay,
Forgot to mention
could you elaborate what you mean about Bigelow Court? You said Bigelow Court was a storage area more than a solid waste disposal area. I think you said that, and you said something about as a disposal area, things got pushed down. Could you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Throughout the years, if you have a non-paved area, you sometimes over the years, the dirt will receive small objects, much as a backyard would over the years. So it's different than you actually dig a hole, you put something in it. There's things on the surface that sometimes remain there for some time.
Okay.
So what we found there, we removed the soil in layers, and we found, consistent with what we thought we would find, we found PCBs in the surface soil, and we found lead in the surface soil that is pretty much reflective, somewhat similar to Halliburton Court, where there was electrical equipment stored there, and there were also batteries stored there. And when you have a porous or a non-solid surface like thick asphalt, which I guess for many years it didn't. We had the photographs that,
Correct. Some
that show that
areas were not paved.
there was a lot of equipment storage in this area of the base. Then you will have some near-surface contamination of PCBs and lead. And that's when we dug up the remainder of the Bigelow Court during this. That's exactly what we found. And what struck me, I went to the contractor immediately when I visited the site when we were still in the midst of digging it, is this is beautiful looking soil. The data is looking like there's almost no solid waste remnants even here. In fact, it looks pretty clean except for the contaminants like PCB and lead and the 3 low-level rat objects we found. Other than that, it didn't resemble at all what an environmental scientist would think of as a solid waste disposal area when we went there. I guess you could say that's good news in the sense that there was less there than we thought.
Less is better, correct.
Yeah. So, but that's really the distinction that Dave and I were making. Okay.
So moving on, again, this is sort of a nice summary of the radiological housing surveys that, again, thanks to all the residents, went very well this summer, 2014. 50 full days of scanning, so it was quite an intensive event, but we were able to do it ahead of schedule. And the results, of course, are in the report, which is out draft, so I think that's available, should be available for everyone at some point in time. The samples for the 1400 series housing, which is a unique event right here, 1400 series, we did a little more sampling at that location. We were able to supplement the data set in that area, and there's a report that was issued on November 5th for that. And of course, I mentioned the open spaces, the gamma walkover surveys and scanning in the backyards. There is a separate report for that that will be issued in December 12th, 2014. No, it's a little confusing for all the different documents, and that's sort of just the nature of the program where we have a bunch of small projects going on at the same time. So when I go through the document tracking sheet, I'll sort of remind everyone, you can take some notes onto which document was with which project, and so hopefully that'll help clarify things. Sure.
Okay. So So we want to switch gears to the radiological program now. Again, there's the CERCLA program, right, the Superfund chemical program, where you're looking at things like metals and arsenic and PCBs and dioxins and PAHs and chemicals, families of chemicals. Now you have the radiological program where we're looking at radioisotopes, in particular radium-226 at Treasure Island. So Dave, help me with this. This is basically color-coded by where we're at in the program.
Yeah, that's correct. So you have, the top one is radiological survey complete, free release achieved. So in other words, we've taken a look at it and it's no longer radiologically impacted. And that would include, right over here, one of these buildings, 342. Right. Is one of the buildings that was free released. Second color, the teal, would be completed radiological surveys reporting pending. So this is something that Daniel Jan's project earlier would have completed. For example, building 3, the interior and the roof, where some of you may recall when the optical shops was located. She's also managed to scan some of the sanitary and storm drains associated with building 3 and 233. As well as the site 32, also known as the Pandemonium Site 2 location.
Yes.
The purple, radiological cleanup complete, site closeout pending. So this is where we're we've done the data, we've collected the data, and now we're going to the state asking them to review the data and to give us a letter of free release. So that would be, for example, building 233 and site 31, where we've collected all the data, handed it to the state, and have asked them to review and ultimately give us free release.
Yes.
Blue is for mediation planned or in progress. For example, non-time critical removal actions. So you will have Bigelow Court attached to, of course, Halliburton Court. You'll have West Side Drive, and then you'll have Bayside and North Point as in progress areas where radiological investigation is ongoing. Yellow, radiological surveys in progress or planned for 2015. There's a whole host of sites that will be subject to 2015 further investigation, including the sanitary sewer force main, which runs up all the way to the sewer treatment plant, which also will be the subject of more investigation. Also, as we discussed, Site 6, which is operationally impacted. Site 20 is a closed site for the program. We're basically just looking at it since it's surrounded by all this area, and it sort of makes sense just to take a look at it so you have more of a complete footprint. We don't have basically any data for that location. And then you have, of course, have the storage area, the historical storage area, which sort of was in this general location, and it was, of course, radiologically impacted. It includes Site 31, which we have data, but we don't have data for Site 30 or the areas north and south, which until the HRASTM came out, really was not in any environmental condition.
Right.
And then we have red, which is radiological surveys planned for 2020, which include basically some areas that we're using for ongoing projects. Our contractors currently have an area at what the building number is 570, and this is where their offices are, the trailers, and equipment is stored. Due to some of the activities here, storing radiological objects, for example, before they're taken off site. After we're done using it, we'll subject the site to a radiological scan as well, and ask for free release. As well as this little triangle up in the northern area here. It's just one of those remnants that we use as a laydown area. And so we'll scan it. Really, we don't have any operational history from, say World War II, but we'll do a scan of that as well once we're done using it for our work.
Okay, next.